Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Gray Man Prepping. It is time for Tactical Tuesday, where we talk tactics, gear, and more. And tonight's topic is skill training until you can't do it wrong. How's everybody doing out there? Good to see everyone here, and we got more names rolling in here. So let me get over to the comments and get rid of all these friggin' pop-ups. Dang. Just, all right, I got even more people coming in. Okay, so, all right, first one in, Walt Rogers, followed by Phelan Clan Wolf, Troop 1351, Chef Deck, Shady Hill Homestead, Geeky Gardens, The Watchman, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, Kaylin Strain, Diana 2, Vanessa Kitty, Suzanne Gallet, and that seems to be the ones that are checking in. And we got a lot more numbers up at the top, so we got people lurking, and lurking is fine. We just ask that you check in like Diana 2 did. And don't forget, everybody hit the thumbs up. Uh, Helps me out with the YouTube's analytics. And even though YouTube is playing games with the thumbs up right now, I don't know what's up with what they're doing, but all right. So with this, let me pop this over here. So skill training, do it until you can't do it wrong. Basically, I keep hearing I think you've all heard it too. Practice till you get it right. Well, that's a good way to get yourself hurt. Seriously. If you're practicing until you get it, just until you get it right. Yeah, Mother Garden Club just came in. That means you got it right once and now you're going to stop practicing, or you're not going to keep up the intense practice to get better at it. And that's one of the problems I have with it is, well, let me just go up and put this up here then. So practice until you get it right is the saying. And that saying, in my opinion, is totally wrong. You want to practice till you can't do it wrong. If you practice, like I say, you do a practice till you get it right. Okay, oh, I got it right. Okay, oh, cool, I'm great. I'm an expert now. And as soon as you get a little bit of stress, you ain't doing it right. As soon as the slightest little thing is off a little bit, you start to get frustrated, and it's like, crap, I had it right. Why can't I do it right again? And so that's the problem with that. It's just that you need to practice until you can't get it wrong. When I first went through the police academy, had everybody go out there, and everyone was, a lot of the guys had their were being reserves with some of the local police departments, and so they had their departments were insisting everybody go to semi-automatic pistols, and so they had the little short barrel in their automatic pistol, and they hadn't practiced with it much, and they were all ticked off that they couldn't hit like they could with revolvers. Several of us, though, we had revolvers because our agency didn't say you had to have semi-automatics. And what's so funny is the first time up there, the DIs, the academy, were wanting to see how many shot, and they were going through everybody. And there were 4 of us with revolvers, and we just, and they're like, how long have you guys been practicing? And some of the guys think, I go, wow, the last time I shot was what, a year and a half ago. And they looked at me like, you haven't shot in a year and a half and you're shooting that good? Well, back then I was shooting, I was going through 1,000 rounds a month at the range. And I did that for several years. And I just, got lazy and just, and I was still, and they're like, dang. And I said, yeah, it's one of the things. So you don't practice until you get it right once. You practice till you can't get it wrong. As you see, I didn't get it wrong. And so that's when the DIs changed and started teaching something a little bit different in the class, and saying, don't practice till you get it right, practice till you can't get it wrong. And you want to practice everything so it becomes second nature at you so much. And we wound up spending an extra day. Everyone wanted froze. Everyone wanted to spend an extra day at the range, and the DIs agreed. And because everybody wanted to get better, and as it was, me and one of the other guys, we had the exact same gun, same model, same barrel length, both revolvers. And the only thing that happened is I had a cold and I sneezed, and some of my a couple of my bullets were cutting the line between the 10X and the 10 ring. And so, he got a couple more in the 10X than I did, but yeah, so I came in second. Yep. Now to carry on to other things. Actually, let me go ahead and drop the link in here, guys and gals. Don't want to exclude anybody. And there it goes. So when you are practicing, it's any skill. You're learning how to harvest chickens. You need to practice it so you don't make mistakes. When you're harvesting cattle, you need to practice it so you don't make mistakes. What sort of mistakes can you make harvesting cattle? Well, when you're splitting up the front and the middle to start peeling the hide off, if you go in a little too deep, you can puncture intestines. And then when you're pulling things out, when you're cutting the tissue around inside to pull things out, and if you cut wrong, you can nick the bladder, and then urine's everywhere, and you got a lot of meat that has just been spoiled. So that's one thing where you practice till you can't get it wrong. My wife has 4 sewing machines. I almost had them up here long enough for everybody to see them.
Whoops, hold on. There we go. Too much echo background. Have both playing at the same time.
Yeah. So my wife has 4 different sewing machines. She has
so what's wrong with that?
And 2 others. And when she got the hobby lock, she was just practicing. She had a bunch of scraps, and she was just practicing and practicing and practicing, so she wouldn't make mistakes when she got to doing something more expensive and technical, like her bridesmaids outfits. She sewed all the bridesmaids outfits. So she didn't make a mistake and ruin them. And Utah Mike's in the house. So that's something else, another skill. There are, think of all the skills you want to do and do it right. Not just do it right every time. Not just do it right once. You want to do it where you don't do it wrong. And no one comes to mind is canning. So you don't want to go, I got canning right once, and just and not keep doing it, so you make sure you don't do it wrong.
Hey, I found out I did a freeze dryer pack wrong. Grabbed my Thanksgiving dinner. I made like 8 of them with everything in there. Really, it's in a gallon bag. Brought it out to the cabin, and I was going through it when I was out there last weekend. And I looked, and I was like, oh no. I used my chamber sealer to give it the initial suck the air out and give it a quick seal, but I always put it in my big pulse sealer to make sure it's sealed. I never put it in a pulse sealer. Fortunately, everything in there is in separate bags with their own oxygen absorbers, but they're clear bags. So, yeah, I brought it home. I'll probably just heat it up and see if it's still any good, and then check the other 9 that are in there, 8.
Yeah. Well, if you have individual packets inside the big one, it should all still be good.
Oh, I think they are, because everything's still crunchy and there's no like slushiness to anything. So it's probably fine. I could probably just throw another big O2 absorber in the big pack and then throw it in the big sealer bar.
Yeah.
But you still make mistakes.
Canning your food wrong. Only to find out it's rotten bad. Yeah.
Yeah, freeze drying food wrong. You're not going to find out it's bad until 10 years from now, when you need it, and you open it up and go, crap.
Yeah.
I want my money. I want my money back, guarantee. Oh, that's right. Those companies are long gone.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. The earlier this week, or late last week. I keep thinking. For some reason, I was thinking today, Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday. I thought it was Monday.
I was thinking it was Thursday. Oh no, it's not. It's like I almost pulled up the wrong one because I said, "Oh wait a minute, didn't I do Tuesday already?"
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to open up the last jar of apricot jam my wife had made, and when I went to pick it up, the lid popped off.
Nah.
And I opened it and I looked in there, and it was like, ooh. Green stuff, fuzzy stuff all over inside.
Petri dish.
Yes. Okay, waiting for Luce is trying to get in here. There he is. All right, let's bring him up.
There you are.
And so, so I mean, it was in there, and it was a small jar, so it wasn't a lot. It's like, no, I'm not going to take the chance on anybody getting sick from it. So, it's like. Had to dump it out. So, anyways, but yeah, there were just a lot of things, and it's like I've gone around all the stuff I've canned lately. I've gone around and went on the edge just gently to see if anything's loose. Not trying to crank it off, just drag my finger because that's all it took. I reached up there, my thumb just barely touched it, and it went. Ping! It's like, oh shit, that wasn't sealed.
Take a pencil. Just take a pencil and play the steel drums.
Yeah,
they all sound the same, and all of a sudden one doesn't. It's like, you're done.
Oh, that's like it is. Just to get distracted here, that's like it is with the little clay pots up to the big clay pots. Ting, ting, dunk. Yeah, you know which one has a crack in it.
Yep.
Fortunately, other people have gotten some of their skills right. Some of the things I've bought, all the Mountain House I've ever bought, no problems. All of the Augustin Farms, no problem. Bought just a couple samples of Wise Foods before they changed it to Ready Wise. And why is this all puffy and squishy?
Yeah, because there was still moisture in there.
Yeah, it was.
Doesn't take much.
Cracked it a little bit and saw black mold. It's like, oh nope, out in the trash can. They all went. Yeah, and right after that, Uncle Al and I found out that a lot of their food had gone bad, and people were opening up and complaining. And so Wise Food declared bankruptcy, and they had set up different layers, and the parent company reorganized to set up another company called Ready Wise.
Mm.
And 6 months later, they were out there producing again. So
yeah, and they didn't honor any of the previous lifetime guarantee or whatever on the other stuff.
Yeah, because that company went bankrupt.
Yep.
And all the equipment was owned by a different subsidiary.
Yeah. That's why I love making my own. For the simple fact, if anything goes wrong, I only have myself to blame. And that's it.
Yes, Sandy, CPR skills are essential to get it right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I mean everything, just think of all the skills. All right, let's go back to one of the first skills you learned how to do. How many times did you do it wrong trying to feed yourself as a little kid? Oh, ow.
Hell, I'm still working on the walking part.
And then there was tying the shoe. My mom and dad made sure that all of us knew how to tie our shoes before we went to kindergarten. Absolutely had it down. I mean, it was just like, as soon as we were wearing shoes and stuff, now they were sitting up teaching us and stuff, and yeah. And then writing. Holding the pencil right so you can write. My grandsons are all holding it like this. No. I'm working with them. Danny, you're in first grade. Hold your pencil right.
I freak out when I see people hold their pencil with all 4 fingers on one side. I'm like, how can you even write like that?
Yeah.
Well, most people don't.
They're going like this.
Yeah.
They're not doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I learned how to read and write, but I can't. My signature is like chicken scratch.
Oh, that's on. We do that on purpose. Mine's like my first initial, scribble, middle initial, last name initial, scribble with an underline. Because it's always been like that.
Mine has deteriorated. My signature has deteriorated. About 4 years after I got married, when somebody took over all the finances and I stopped signing checks because I hardly ever signed anything. And when I was working for Homeland Security, you were not allowed to write cursive. It was forbidden. Everything had to be printed, block letters.
So I can print faster than I can cursive, right? I haven't really written much in cursive in a while.
Yeah, same here.
Because nobody else can friggin' read it. So I'm like, well, you know what? Might as well print it. If I'm writing it, I'll print it.
Yeah.
And even then they have problems.
Yeah. And that's one of the things is, there were so many people coming on board, and I got put on the training team to train them. And we're like, all right. And we had to do PowerPoint presentation. You fill out the form. You do not use cursive. You use cursive, it's going to come back and it's going to be a ding against your performance review. You should have seen all the eyes open up. What? Yeah. Capital block letters is what you print in. It needs to be absolutely legible by anyone, including congressmen that have a 3rd grade education.
Oh, they got that far?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there you go. Like, your reports aren't just going to be reviewed by your supervisor. It's going to go to your supervisor, to the manager, to the assistant federal security director, and then the assistant federal security director, on up to this undersecretary for Homeland Security, and sometimes they even makes it to the secretary of Homeland Security. And once in a while, some reports even made it to the president. And so, yeah, it's, it's like, hey, everything needs to be like, just like you were typing it with a typewriter on caps. That's the way you got to print it.
So Kennedy read your reports? Just kidding. I'm making
no, Lincoln. Lincoln did.
Lincoln. Good comeback.
Yeah. Hamilton didn't want to see my reports.
Hamilton just pulled a gun on you and said, go away or we're going to have a duel.
No, until he saw how well I shot.
Yeah. He said, all right, just go away.
He goes, here's your bonus. Go away. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was too. You print the report and then you signed it. And not only that, you didn't just sign it. You printed your name and then you signed under it.
And then you put a date on it.
Yep. And then date. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's how we write code now. We write in cursive to each other. That way you put it on a postcard. Nobody will have any clue what you're talking about. They'll think you're writing in like Arabic or something.
I have seen so many short videos about Gen Z and and they're saying, we're going to take over everything. Da, 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 da. And the Gen Xers who are reviewing those videos goes, yeah, you guys can't even write cursive. You can't read cursive.
Yeah.
All we need to do is, once we find out your plans, we just write our own plans in cursive and give them to you, and you won't know what we're doing.
Yeah, let you steal them. Yeah.
Tracy's Local Learnings. Welcome. And so, and so it goes with a lot of things. Needing to do. I mean, I threw this background up behind me specifically has everyone that's been in the military No, you get in there and they make you practice and they make you practice. Oh, you got it right. Now do it again. Oh, you did it wrong. Do it 10 more times now.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things my dad did to me.
Yeah. Curse of Spanish. Back when I was a teenager, I actually learned to print in Elfish runes from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's about as good as that's about as good as learning how to speak and write Klingon.
Yeah. Even more so because not many people did it. And the only reason why I learned it is my cousin, who was 11 years older than me, had already done it, and he was teaching a bunch of us. So a bunch of us were learning it. All the cousins and stuff. And I was the only one that actually learned how to write everything, and that was. And then promptly about 4 years later, I forgot how to do it. I know it's the proper way to write the letter G for Gandalf.
So learn how to read and write Chinese or Japanese, because their symbols they don't stand things. For they stand for sounds and thoughts and actual whole nouns and things. Yes. And sometimes it's just a letter, but yeah, you got to understand everything.
And it's not just that. There is formal and common, and for the same word, there's like 6 different ways of spelling the same friggin' word.
Yeah, and local dialects. Yep.
Yeah. But for there's a lot of skills, electrical skills. You don't want. Oh, some of the reels I watch, the inspectors coming in and just showing what they're finding. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I found that in my last house when I pulled an outlet out, and these kids they had working there must have stripped an 1.25 inches of wire and used the push-in connectors on the outlets. I had more exposed copper than insulated in these outlets. I'm like, are you kidding me? Fortunately, they left about 8 feet of Romex inside each outlet, so I was able to cut them all short and use the screws because I like screws better than the push-ins.
Yeah. So electrical skills. So if you want to learn to do electrical work, you got to learn to do it right and not. Tammy Harder's here. Woo! Oh, Prepper 101 is in the house. Yeah, so the skills, and plumbing skills another one, because electrical skills you can have problems with if you don't do it quite right. Plumbing skills, if you start fitting things out and you forget to glue a pipe together, you're just fitting them out and you start doing all the rest and you miss one. Oh yeah, that can be a very, very, very expensive mistake.
Now,
especially if
plumbing things you may not know you didn't solder that one connection properly inside a wall for years.
Yeah. And even if it's glue PVC, you'll get drips. You may get a drip. You may not get a drip. It may drip only when you're running a lot of hot water through the pipe.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things in working in skills and doing it right that is just very important to do.
Putting your toilet back on. Putting your toilet back on after you change the wax gasket.
Yep.
Yep.
And then caulking around it because you're always going to get a smell out of it.
Yeah.
You're right there, Bruce. Sounds like you're dripping boogers on the keyboard.
Yeah, I've been outside all day.
Oh. Yeah. Welcome to the pollen year weather.
Yeah. The baking.
Yeah.
Learning the proper way to measure out flour. And it's just watching people nowadays. It's like when reading the old cookbooks that says how to do the flour and stuff. We had sifters, so basically you would sift it into the cup till the cup came at the proper level, and then everything worked. Nowadays they kind of scoop it, and tap the spoon, just to try to break it up, and and you got wind up with
exactly.
more flour than you're supposed to have in there.
Yeah. And that ironic, and I know Tammy's probably talked about that, or I have, but the reason they sifted flour 30, 40, 50 years ago and more is because there were flour bugs and you wanted to sift them out. You didn't want
Yeah.
that in your cookies or your cakes or your breads. So that's what they measured with, was sifted flour. It wasn't because it made it fluffier. It did, but that was their measurement.
Yeah.
So,
But it
but back,
also made it standardized too,
well,
as in the
sort of,
volume of
yeah.
it.
Yeah, everything was sifted flour. Nobody even really talked about it because that's how you did your flour. You sifted it first. Sometimes they're like, yeah, sift the baking. After you measure your cup of flour and cup of baking soda. Oops, I forgot to sift it. Well, hell, throw it all through the sifter. Now you're sifting it all together. That makes its own thing, and it does change textures and that. So yeah, baking is a science, not necessarily like cooking, which is an art in its own self.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you need to you practice to get your skills down. There are some guys on the grill that are absolutely phenomenal because they grill friggin' all the time, and they know exactly how well done, whether it's medium rare, well done, nuked by atomic bomb, whatever, because they know instinctively by the look of the meat, they know they don't have to have a timer. They know how, by the sizzle and the sound and the look of it, how well done it is. And a good grill master is a master, and it's a skill. Let's see what other ones. Gardening has a bit of skill in it too. Gardening is a little bit more forgiving in some cases. Toss. Oops, I dropped the bag of seeds. Okay, we'll just see what grows here.
Transplanting stuff in the garden.
Transplanting is a skill, so you don't kill or damage the roots so bad that it doesn't come back.
Well, except for tomatoes. Tomatoes, when I grow tomatoes in those, I used to grow them in the peat pots or buy them in the peat pots. Yeah, those things are root bound. So the first thing I do is I'll rip the sides of it and I'll tear the bottom off, roots and all. Yeah. Because that allows the roots go, oh, we need more roots. Oh, look, we got new dirt. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I had the neighbor, he's having his shed. He tore down his shed and he's having this monstrosity of a shed built. But anyways, I had to transplant 2 cherry trees over about 4 feet.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, no, they're actually doing okay. I've been, for when I first transplanted them, I watered them like 3 times a day, and then after like 3 or 4 days of that, to watering them twice a day. And today was actually the first day of watering it at least once a day. And the leaves, they're starting to come up with the other trees.
Good. Yeah, I know you're supposed to water the heck. If you have to dig one up, you got to water the heck out of it for 3 feet around it for days and days, so it softens the soil up. So the roots are even soft. So when you cut through some of the little hair roots, they can at least start to regrow, and you have to wet your hole when you move it over. Oh yeah, that's its own procedural science there, which I have never had the need to do. Any trees I transplant are 2 feet tall, and I don't care if they die. Most of the time I just rip them out of the ground, take a pinch bar, poke a hole, stick it back in there, and slam it with my heel, and it grows. But those are just regular bushes and stuff.
Yeah, one of the cherry trees I transplanted was like my height and a half, and the other one's like twice my height at least.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm looking up. I got a couple of them here. I'm going to show you a couple little videos here. Then get this back to the beginning. There we go. Stop. All right. So. All right, this is practice till you can't do it wrong. Because if you do this wrong, you're gonna hurt it. You see how fast she's going. This one, it's not quite as fast. She's still learning, but she's practicing until she can't get it wrong.
Yeah, and it's some of that martial arts stuff. It's about strengthening your bones and your muscles and everything when they're hitting those wooden things.
Yeah, it's it's developing your muscle memory so your muscles do it right almost on their own. It's like quickly tying a shoe. Do you think about tying a shoe? No, it's like because you got so much muscle memory in it, your finger, everything knows what to do to tie the shoe. And it's tying your cinch, you don't go. And you're done.
Wait, I still do that. Are you making fun of me?
I'm faster. But yeah,
left over right, right over left, make the little loop, put your finger out, go around the finger, feed it through, pull it tight. Damn it, I pulled the string through again. Man, do it again.
Yeah, it's like, learning how to do certain things and keep practicing. Yeah, it's like, ooh, square knot. Okay, how fast can I tie a square knot?
Oh, yeah, do it. So stand up and don't look at it and show me a one-handed bow line for rescue around your waist. You're not going to do it.
I don't have it. I don't have the other side anchor, so yeah, no.
You don't need an anchor.
But when I was a scoutmaster teaching it, I was doing something. I would just take it, put it behind my back, and do it.
Yeah, no, you just loop it around your waist, and you're holding one in your left hand, and you semi-limp, and you just loop, and boink, done. And I learned how to do that probably 30 years ago. I could literally just grab a piece of rope and do it. I don't even remember how it's done. I just know I can do it. That's where
it's
no, not like that. You got to do it around. Don't make me get a piece of rope and do it on camera.
Yeah. But I mean, the other ones, there's several other ones and stuff. And there is the, if I get this sitting right on, it's been a while since I've done this one here. Let's see here. Got that. So, no knot in it. And it was this way here. No, crap. Forgot how to do it. I got to practice that one. I keep forgetting. It's how to tie an overhand knot without letting go of the rope. Yeah, that one's hard to do.
You ever do end splice, eye splice, midline splice with three strand hemp or 3-strand cotton or 3-strand? I love doing it. I learned how to do that. Everybody used to get so mad at me. They'd be like, here, use this rope. I'm like, okay, I'd spend 5 minutes and put an end splice on it so it wouldn't fray out everywhere. They're like, why do you do that? I'm like, because I don't have a lighter and I don't feel like melting this stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing is got to learn how to whip a rope. So it can't do that. Because learning how to whip a rope is the same technique you use to attach an arrowhead to a shaft.
Yep.
And how to make your how to set the length on your bowstrings and getting them in. Of course, also you do that, and you also do a little splicing, but you do the whip on it as well. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of skills to learn and do. And the more you practice it, you get it right. But you got to keep doing it. Like I said, it's been the last time I did the magic knot was 8 months ago. And I had to, crap, how did I do this? I had to figure it out again, how to do it. But there's a lot of skills and stuff to learn. One of the skills I don't know how to do, and I started to learn a little bit as a teenager in junior high, and it's leatherworking. And that's a skill that I would like to learn if I ever have the time and patience for it. But yeah, but there are a lot of skills, that you need to learn to do them right. Electrical, plumbing, bricklaying, especially if you're working on a chimney. Concrete work. Oh man. Hang on, let's see if I can
Yeah,
find it
I
here.
got much work to do on my house. Some of it's falling apart. It's got to get done this summer.
What, some of the brickwork?
Yeah, I live in a church that has been converted from like 1880.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so some of the cement has ash in it, and it's deteriorated to the point I let it go for like the last, like really let it go, right, to where I got to take bricks out and
Oh geez.
do about it. Yeah, well, some bricks got to come out because they're really old, right? So, and I got to put new bricks in, and then
You better learn how to re-chink. You scrape it all out, clean it off real well, get a chinking bag, which is like a pastry bag, and squeeze it back here and put your whatchamacallit, your grout lines back in, and then smooth them back out again. It keeps the water out.
yeah, I've done parging at most on some brickwork, but it is gonna take it's the bricks that have to come out. I'll probably cement the side and the bottom with the trowel and work the bricks in there, and then take the pastry bag thing and do the top and read the sides and the bottom a bit, right?
Yep, squeeze it back in there and trowel it smooth.
Yeah, because it about every so many. Remember, but there's these things that stick out on the sides of the building, and where the water drips from the eaves, like from the roof,
right onto the roof.
Yeah, and on the one side of the house, there was a garage, and a couple of them are really in bad shape.
Trying to find something here to show you guys here. Some also skill work going on.
Yeah, lots of little skills. Brickwork, I don't think is high on everybody's list unless you live in a brick house.
Well, I mean, thing is also if you're building your own cabin and you've picked up bricks for free or whatever, and you want to do a fireplace,
you
got to do that right, because if you don't do it right, you can wind up with an attic fire or a wall fire.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think cement comes in different strengths and waterproof.
For furnaces, you got furnace cement, which is high temp, and regular. You get all kinds of different mixes and blends and things, and
waterproofing. I know there's a hydraulic cement out there in my basement because it's an older basement. The well comes in from the house, like your water lines from the well. Every few years, I gotta chip at it a little bit and then pack in some hydraulic cement, because when it gets wet, it expands. When it's perfectly cured. And I know in wood stoves, a buddy of mine's got a pot belly wood stove, and every year he likes doing it because they'll crack and he'll chip away the edges, and he's got to use a really high heat cement, some sort or another.
All right. Two things. One, building a forge. My youngest son helped build the forge at Scout Camp, and they were some of the other ones were going to do it. They were just given some paperwork on how to do it. He, though, however, had been watching for the last 2 years Forged in Fire. And had seen something, they go around to the different knife makers and stuff that are going to be competing in that episode. And they're showing one of the guys several had made their own forges and showing about that. And so he goes, oh, wait, no, you got to do it this, got to do that. And and so they wound up making two. The senior ones that were just, staff members that were told to do it. and him and a couple others, junior staff members that were like, "We're going to do it right." Yeah. Anyways, he got when he turned 18, he got asked to come back as a senior staff member. Anyways, here. Unfortunately, it's not going to show big enough, but it looks like crap, don't it? Until as they're working it. This is just the first stage of working. They're spreading it out, working it out, getting it thin.
Yep, filling the void.
And it's got angles on. It's got multiple angles on it. It slopes away from the house, and it slopes from the shop down this way towards us.
Oh, is that your shop? Is that your house?
That's mine. And these guys, I mean, these guys are, look at, how, and the one guy was up. Got my finger. The one guy was working it around the access to under the house there first, and freezing on that. So that the other one here. This is this driveway, and they're getting in there, and they got to match it because there are 4 different angles right where he's standing at. Because the angle of the shop going down towards where the truck is, from the house towards the wood pile there, then where the coming into the shop there, it has a ramp that comes up there a little bit. And they got to angle all that around. These guys did it so friggin' fast and so good. Getting it in there and getting everything working just right, and just they're dragging down a little bit, and then they're going in and working it. So, yeah, concrete work is an art form.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of it. You get several artists out there. And you just stand there in amazement and just watch them going. I've done it I started before when I was still in junior high doing it. But to watch some of these guys that do it every day, I mean, it's like, damn, I thought I was good. And it's like, nope.
A lot of that cement work is prep work.
Yeah. I did all the prep work on it myself. Because I actually brought in rented compactors and did more prep work than what these guys say. Yeah, we do this and that. And go, you don't bring in the sheet compactor. Say, we just bring it. That's what we usually do. Well, I brought in a sheet compactor. Then I brought in the vibrate compactor. Yeah, and I did all the stuff. And the ground was almost as hard as concrete they were pouring on. So it's basically, instead of having 6 inches of concrete out there, I got like 18 inches of 6 inches concrete and 12 inches of super hard compacted soil. I want to learn how to make wooden spoons. Oh yes, there are some interesting wooden spoons, wooden bowls, wooden spatulas, wooden forks. Yeah, there are some interesting woodworking videos here on YouTube of them making different ones and how they can do it. And some of them are just absolutely phenomenal on it. Where was it? Where to go? Plug out after fuel inches. There. Let me bring something up here. There we go. Bring that one big for you. There we go. Y'all remember this from was it last Friday? Or was it the Friday before? I think it was last Friday. We were talking about linseed oil. But look down at the bottom right here. The curved ones and stuff they do. Yeah. Those are just some of the different types of spoons and stuff. They got paddles and everything else you can do. It's when you do it where you don't do it wrong, you become an artist. Yeah. Now I'm going to say something here, and people may hate on me for saying it, but what famous painter always made mistakes on TV and then goes, oh, no worries, we're going to do this with it.
I mean, happy little cloud man, and some happy little trees, and some happy little lakes, and
Bob Ross.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got that, and you see some a little bit of paint drip. Whoop. Okay, hang on, and he turns that drip into another tree.
Yep. Tree or a little.
He did it wrong, but he also recovered from it and fixed it.
That's called artistry, not technicality.
Yeah. But when there are certain skills you can't do that with. One of them is sending hole punchers downrange.
Yes.
Yeah. You miss with that, it could have dire consequences. Or if you miss, it could be the fact that, okay, we know we are not going to be harvesting this month's meat. We got to come out again at a different time. So yeah, there are a lot of skills.
We're harvesting this week's meat because we're only going to get the back straps off of this one because somebody aimed a little too far towards the rear.
Yeah. We talk, plumbing, electrical, sewing, brickwork, pew-pews, martial arts. There's a lot of skills you absolutely have to do them right. Otherwise, there's going to be consequences. Welding. Oh, jeez.
Yep.
All right. 88-inch diameter pipe. Quarter-inch steel.
Not 87, not 89, 88.
88. 40-foot lengths being put together. The welders on that have to are certified to weld in all directions because they're inside the pipe welding. Gerald Jones, the best welder I've ever seen. So, to get the pipe in the hole, they cut a 4-inch. They cut a 3.5-inch hole in the top. Put a shaft through there, put a nut on it, and hook it up to a trolley, and they run it in. The trolley pipe stays in the hole and gets filled in with concrete around the pipe. But they unscrew from the trolley, and they pull the trolley out, but they leave the trolley bar in there. So anyways, he's got to patch that hole absolutely smooth and perfectly. Do the pipes butt them to joint and weld it perfectly. Once it's welded, a inspector comes in with an X-ray machine and X-rays all the welds. The welds pass, then they pour the concrete or the mortar, they pump the mortar in around the pipes, and once that sets up, then they have another crew go in and they mortar the inside. This is for water pipe. Gerald was welding next to one. They put one of the things too close to the end there to get it to go in, so it's close to the thing, and there's some groundwater that was dripping down, and the groundwater was hitting the bucket of the mucker there, which was up against the side, so it was grounded as well. So it was grounded, and as he's trying to weld and stuff, the water's hitting and arcing over to his, and you can see him twitching as he gets a little arcing shock as he's welding. And he does that for about a half an hour. He gets down to the sides past it, where he moves far enough away from it. It passed X-ray, perfect. That was someone who was welding and couldn't get it wrong. That is some skill.
Well, here comes my rainstorm right on time.
Sandy says it's getting down to 38 where she's at.
Oh, forget it. I'm bailing. I'll catch y'all later.
All righty. Yeah, it's about that time to wrap it up here anyways. All right, so coming up here, Thursday is the Midnight Ride. Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound, there it is is which livestock is best for you. We're going to talk about all types of livestock, everything from quail up to buffalo. Saturday is there is no live with Shadow Scout. He's going to be out of the area down for his mother's funeral, and he's not going to be doing a live. So my other live, the exploring events, will be at 8 o'clock, and that is after the rule of law is gone. What are your plans? Monday on Camp Pat and Family Compound is canning apple juice, and we're probably going to venture off a little bit and a little bit more apple stuff. Tuesday back here on Gray Man Prepping is being a gray man. What does it mean? What does being a gray man mean? And no, it doesn't mean you have to wear gray all the time, even though I just like the color gray. Anyway, so that's what's coming up here in the next week. I may or may not. Let me take a look at the weather here real quick. Okay. It may, if I get a good night's sleep tonight, I may be outside doing a live stream gardening in the garden tomorrow. Because, I got to get a good night's sleep. Otherwise, I just can't get myself motivated to get out there and do it. So I may be doing do a live stream out there with the camera while I'm working in the garden, planting all the squash and getting all that stuff planted and working in the garden, getting things done. So that may or may not happen tomorrow. But all right, everyone, that's what's coming up here. Thank you all for coming in. Remember, learn a new skill every month and practice the important ones till you can't do it wrong. All right, take care, and I'll see you, if not tomorrow for an impromptu live stream, Thursday night for the Midnight Ride. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.